Welcome to Sustainable Packaging with Cory Connors, presented by Atlantic Packaging. I'm your host, Cory Connors. In today's episode, I connected with CEO Malcolm Waugh from Frugalpac. We discussed their innovative and revolutionary paper bottles and more. After years of development and design, they're having great success in the wine and spirits market and beyond. I'd also like to thank our sponsors, 3M, SpecRite, and Lorax EPI. We couldn't do this show without them. Welcome to Sustainable Packaging. I am so excited to have the CEO of Frugalpac, Mr. Malcolm Waugh. Welcome, sir. Thank you for being on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Cory, and great to be with you, and thank you to all your listeners.
Means a lot to me. What you've got going here is a really innovative product, something that's, as far as I know, never been done before. We're talking today about paper bottles. Frugalpac is invented this technology, to my understanding, and it's selling like crazy. Before we get into all that business, let's talk about your background. And you've been with Tetra Pak and Frugalpac and all of these companies that are very paper focused. Is that something that you're passionate about? Obviously, tell us how you got into this industry.
So, as a young man, engineering was more of my thing, but I basically found a career with a company called Alfa Laval, which was a big food processing business, so engineering solutions for food manufacture, that was then bought by Tetra Pak. And that introduced me to the world of paper packaging, sustainability, and how a company can go about actually making changes. So I was with Tetra Pak for a good 18 odd years, and then I moved to another PLC business in the UK, so a listed company, where I worked with them to build up their own packaging portfolio, which again was all fiber based. It was more in the pharmaceutical space. And I was with them for about 11 years, and then came out of that and was looking for something else to do. And I came across a very young company called Frugalpac, which was a startup business. And I'd been round the mill a few times in terms of experience. And I thought, actually, this could be something that is not only important, but could be fun to do as well. And both are true. So I'm very pleased with where I've ended up. I'm getting old a bit now, though. Getting on a bit.
Well, you've your wisdom is showing through. We appreciate what you're doing. This is a very innovative and exciting material and product and design. I think it's revolutionizing the packaging industry for spirits and wine and other things. Let's talk about Frugalpac. I've got one of your bottles here. This is a vodka bottle, and
Okay, yeah.
it's really beautifully made, beautifully done. And there's a logo here that says press here to recycle. So we'll talk about all of these details, but I want to kind of give the audience a sneak peek. Who invented Frugalpac and where did it start?
Yeah, so Frugalpac's a young clean tech business based in the UK, in a town called Ipswich, which is about an hour northeast of London. It is a group of very young, enthusiastic people who have all put a hand into some of the developments that have happened over the years. Most notably, our product director, John Paul Grogan. I like to call him the brains of the operation. It's not me, it's him, I think, is where all the applause should be going. But what we do, we look for problems caused by the incumbent packaging in fast-moving consumer goods. And then we try to offer an alternative. And we always look, and this is from a sustainable perspective. So our materials of choice are recycled paper. And the reason we choose that is it's abundant. It's the most recycled material in the world today. Wherever you go, paper is the most recycled. It's got a cost profile that generally works. Paper is probably still a little bit more expensive than plastic, but that's changing over time. And it's very adaptable to what we want to do. Once we've spotted an issue, then we then engineer, and that's the other side of my history, if you like, the solutions. So whether that is a complete machine platform that is making the Frugal Bottle, or a product that we launched in 2018 was the Frugal Cup, which was an easy to recycle coffee cup for on the go. But despite the best business plan, if I may say, written, we hadn't quite counted on a global pandemic. So we had to pause the production of the Frugal Cup and really turn all our attention to what effectively is our poster child, if you like, which is the Frugal Bottle. And really what we're trying to address here, what we spotted in the market was how the wine industry particularly was getting affected by climate change. The root cause of climate change is carbon. If you look into the way that the wine industry works, figures move around, but we use 50% of the carbon is effectively coming from the packaging, the glass bottle. Roughly 35% of that number is from the manufacturing, so it's very high energy intensity. It's original source material, silica sand, which is either mined or dredged out of rivers, so that's not great. And whilst very recyclable, each time you recycle it, you're going to generate roughly the same amount of carbon again. It's a little bit less. And then there's the weight side of it. So when you're distributing it, empty to get filled and then filled to be distributed, it's quite a weight. So that adds significantly to the carbon. So the spot of the Frugal Bottle was an alternative to the wines and spirits industry to offer a low carbon solution. But one of the things that we also wanted to do was replicate the experience for the consumer. So the Frugal Bottle is the exact shape of a bottle. It acts like a bottle. You have a screw cap, you pour it, and then once you finish with it, you recycle it. So we're not asking the consumer to change much. Whereas if you take my old company, Tetra Pak, that has a different connotation in terms of the image of the package. It's probably a little bit more commoditized and for lower value items.
Yeah, great points. And it feels the same. It kind of looks the same. I mean, glass is known for being beautiful and shiny and having a weight to it. But when I hold this bottle, it feels very similar. Hey, friends, we are going to take a quick break to thank our sponsors. Please be sure to support them. Are you shipping with recycled corrugated? Think outside the box with 3M tape. 3M packaging tape can help you overcome your recycled corrugated challenges with confidence, making sure your boxes are sealed securely the first time, reducing downtime, and providing consistent performance. With 3M as your partner, you can maintain productivity, achieve cost savings, and turn packaging problems into sealing success. When you use recycled corrugated shipping boxes, think 3M packaging tape. Sustainability starts long before a product hits a shelf. It starts with the spec. That's why brands choose SpecRite, the leader in intelligent specification data management and modern product lifecycle management. SpecRite turns siloed packaging and product data into connected, reliable intelligence so AI can identify waste, optimize materials, streamline supplier collaboration, and accelerate sustainable product design. If you're trying to reduce packaging complexity or meet evolving regulations, it's time for a spec-first approach. SpecRite, the intelligent foundation for every product. Discover more at specrite.com. In packaging, it's still, I know a guy, but what happens when you don't? Or when you need something beyond your network? Forest is built for that. A platform that connects packaging knowledge with AI intelligence, giving you access to verified suppliers, real capabilities, and actionable data in one place. Take action at speed. Execute with intelligence. That's Forest. And other than, it's obviously made of paper. So let's talk about kind of the nuts and bolts of it. When I first heard about this company, about your company, I thought that you were going to sell the machine to every company that would use the bottles, and that they would form those bottles on site. It sounds like maybe that's not exactly how it works. Can you walk us through the nuts and bolts and just explain it to us?
Certainly. I mean, in the first instance, if I can just tell you a little bit about the bottle. So it starts life as flat sheet, die cut printed board, and then clearly we're dealing with liquids, so we use a mono-material pouch, plastic pouch. This is polyethylene, again, well recycled material. Not overly well recycled globally, just to put that on the table. UK is quite low, but any soft plastic is poorly recycled at the moment. That's changing quite quickly, and so it's moving into higher recycling rates. But most importantly and critically is the Frugal Bottle is designed to reduce carbon. So it starts life 84% recycled content. It's made from recycled paper, as we say. It's 84% paper by weight and 16% plastic. That delivers 6 times less carbon than than average weighted glass bottle, which we say is 440 grams. And that is effectively you're 6 times less, so that's equating to somewhere in the region of 450 grams worth of carbon reduced each time you use a frugal bottle. Weight, it weighs 84 grams, as I mentioned, and therefore 5 times lighter than your average glass bottle, which is significant. I wouldn't say it's bomb proof, but it's a lot better than glass. You can drop this from 1.6 meters and you're not going to see a loss of liquid, which is very important. And another attribute that we're really promoting as much as we can to the industry is not faring too well at the moment in terms of overall consumption. It's going down. And a lot of that is bringing in new users and attracting younger people into the wine category. The spirits category is slightly different, but still suffering a little bit from the overhang or a hangover of COVID. But the fact you can decorate this bottle all over allows you to do many things in terms of the design. The one you have there is one of our first customers, actually, an American business, very proud of Half Shell Vodka. These guys are based down in Florida. They've really brought their business to life using the Frugal Bottle, and they're attracting again the younger consumer. They're being in Floridian based, they're very beach friendly. So that's one of the attributes they like of the bottle is you can take it to events and to the beach, and it can go where glass can't really. So that's the sort of makeup of the product itself. In terms of the business model, we have a facility in Ipswich that runs the first machine. We always build our first machine platforms, test them, and then bring them to market. But there's an investment in a Frugal Bottle assembly machine, and therefore anybody investing it wants to make sure that the marketplace is there, that they've got the bottle positioned correctly in the market, and that if they do move towards, or when they move towards the investment in the machine, they know they've got a ready-made audience. So we seed the market with bottles from the UK. Once that's happened, and that's sort of technical testing for filling, distribution testing, and then market testing, then the idea is that the customer then buys the Frugal Bottle assembly machine. The components are then all sourced locally, and that allows for a lower cost option for our customer and ultimately the consumer, but also it adds another layer of sustainability. The pack density of this versus form bottle, which is full of oxygen, whether it's or air, whether it's Frugalpac or glass, doesn't really matter. You're getting roughly 5,000 of these on a pallet, and you'll get 1,000 of these. So you're taking 4 trucks off the road and the equivalent amount of carbon and the associated sort of distribution costs. So that brings the cost down as well as the carbon load to the customer. And it allows for more local manufacturing, which starts to bring jobs back into various areas. The glass industry has consolidated considerably over the years. You're in the US, I think less than 70% of glass bottles for wines and spirits are now coming from other countries, predominantly China and India. Clearly, Mr. Trump has a view of life there, so that's adding to cost with the tariffs. We've been successful in putting 2 machines into North America. The first went to Canada, and the second one has gone into California. So they're actually very pleased. They're sort of tariff-free now because they're able to make the product in America from American-based plastics and paper. So who knew? I mean, who knew that would be a side part of it? But it's worked well for us. And we sell the machines. We tend to look for a single-digit markup. They're not really profit centers for us, but what we do take is a manufacturing license with each machine that goes out, and we take a royalty. And in return for that royalty, we are then promoting the customer's products. Any inquiries that we're getting for California, say, we pass through to the customer or to our Canadian customer. And then we're constantly working with our customers to ensure the machines are running and they've got sales, because for each bottle they're producing, then we get paid. If they don't produce anything, we don't earn any money. So it works extremely well, actually. And it gives comfort to our customer
Everybody
base
wins, right?
We're always going to be there.
That's excellent. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. What a great idea. It's an excellent concept, and California sure makes sense, being, I think it's the largest producer of wine in America.
It is.
To my knowledge. It certainly makes a lot of great wine. So let's talk about some of your growth areas that you're expecting. I think with extended producer responsibility, you're going to see a growth in this product because glass fees are so high based on weight. So are you expecting that growth because of EPR, or do you see other reasons for growth in your product?
We see a lot of growth opportunities, not least the market itself. Despite my comments that it was declining a little bit, you're still dealing with roughly 33 billion units per year. So the addressable market is huge. If we take
Yeah.
the sort of benefits of the frugal bottle, I've gone through those from a sustainability perspective. And from a price perspective, we're working very hard to bring the cost of the bottles down to match that of and be equal to that of glass. And we actually see, we've always said by 2026 we'll be on par with your average glass bottle. With some of the legislative changes that we're seeing, we could even be lower than that. So EPR is driving some of that. It's clearly adding a cost to heavyweight glass. And it's also demonstrating that governments are seeing the benefit of encouraging a change to a different packaging form or different packaging formats, which are bringing sustainable opportunities to the marketplace. And clearly the Frugal Bottle is doing that well. And we're being rewarded for that by not being charged to the same degree as the glass bottle. From so that starts to get that inflection point happening with pricing of glass. Secondly, we're about to launch our new machine platforms, which slightly change the way the bottle is manufactured, which brings the cost of the bottle down, and also the fact that we can we're re-engineering some of the materials, which are going even lighter now, but maintaining the strength, and therefore that takes some further cost out. So we're getting closer and closer, and the machine runs at a far greater rate. So your return on investment, you're into months now if you're looking at making a bottle versus buying a frugal bottle. So that's allowing us to talk to some of the bigger players. I mean, clearly the big guys, they're not looking for a cost increase without any great return. And whilst we're pretty sure you get a good return on it, you've still got to be close. So we're coming into that space. Clearly where we operate against shall we say, the mid-sized companies and the spirits markets, and the frugal bottle actually is coming in very economic versus volume and also different weights. But so that deals with one thing that should excite the market. But where we've got to get to next is really working with the retailers to push the product and the consumer to pull the product through. So we see huge growth just from the use of the bottle within the retail environment. The area we're focused in is in major retail wines. So in the US, we have this bottle particularly is in Target, and they've rolled out that through the whole of the country. I think 12,000 stores. And really, where we see this bottle really having a benefit and an attraction is in the faster consumed wine. So we say the frugal bottle is there for wine that's bought on a Friday night, and if it makes Saturday morning, it's doing rather well. So this is sort of faster consumption, if you like. And we've got some statistics. 90%
Right.
of the world's wine is actually consumed within 12 months of being bottled. And also 90% of that 90% is consumed within 48 hours of being purchased. A glass bottle today is sort of over-engineered protection for the wine because it was there to really allow the wine to develop over a period of time into years and also be stored for longer. That's not a need anymore within the retailer wines, if you like. Clearly, fine wine and very high-end wines need the glass bottle, and it should be there, and it should retain for certain products as well. But if it's consumption, then why go for something that's a little overused? So that's where we see another benefit of the bottle and where growth will come from. I've mentioned events and beaches and so on. So as people become more strict and environments become more strict with the glass, and that gives us a lot of opportunity. We did it, and just being able to put the package into an environment where glass is not allowed is actually increasing the rate of sale of wine. In 2023, fortunate to support our wine entered or our customers' wine entered the concert event with Coldplay, who ran 3 shows in Manchester in the UK. And they sold 8,000 frugal bottles of wine at that event. They would probably be lucky to sell maybe 500, 600, maybe 1,000 glasses of wine, which is what they used to sell in a plastic glass. So the upsell was incredible. $50 a bottle, but the consumer could enjoy the show and not have to keep going back to the bar to get some wine. They could carry this around, pour it, drink it, and enjoy the whole occasion. And we're seeing more and more of those opportunities arising. But really, the focus is in on major retail.
I've been to several concerts in my life, and I would certainly appreciate not having to go wait in line over and over again to get another drink. So that I can see the appeal there, and I know Coldplay is one of the leaders in the world of entertainment for sustainability. So that makes perfect sense that they would embrace your sustainable packaging alternative. Very exciting stuff. This is really cool. I remember when the screw top option came out for wine and for bottles, there was a little bit of a consumer pushback saying, oh, that looks inexpensive. We don't like that. But now it's really taken off, and people just say, oh, well, it's easier to use and it's nice and it's convenient. And like you said, I'm going to drink it tonight. I bought it this morning. And they're not looking to age it over 10 years. Did you see any pushback originally from consumers with your material, with the Frugalpac bottle, and is that changing at all?
Yes and yes. So we did
Good.
a survey of the Frugal Bottle where we showed a picture of the bottle, and this is before we launched in 2020. And we asked the consumer, would you buy wine in a paper bottle? And actually, we were very encouraged by the response. Without going through all the figures, basically, we got 5% of people said no, they wouldn't. So we had 95% of the market to encourage, and of that, 60 odd percent was very positive towards it. Others were unsure, and the usual sort of statistics you get back. To your point, much like screw cap and the pace of take up of that, the Frugal Bottle is still quite slow in its take up within certain markets. And those tend to be the traditional wine markets of Europe, frankly. And so in Spain, Italy, quite surprised by France, because they're actually adopting the bottle far more than some of the other countries. And Italy, for example, still will not be using screw caps. I mean, they still are wedded to the cork as a consumer, and they see it as something, despite the fact that they know it's better for the wine in any event. But it is changing. But where we're seeing our core markets, the US has embraced it very well. Thank you very much. Canada, clearly, that we spoke of. Scandinavia is a big user. We've got most of our SKUs in Scandinavia now. And then we're slowly but surely converting the very traditional markets of Europe. But that conversion is actually coming more from younger people adopting the bottle and taking it to market. UK, the wine industry is growing here. It's a little bit more sparkling wine that the English producers prefer to make, and the Frugal Bottle is not right for sparkling. It really is only good for still. And then we've got the spirits market, which is really exploding. So if we look at the SKUs, 60% of our SKUs are in spirits, and 40% of that in volume, and then 60% of the volume is in wine and 40% in the SKU. So there's a slight difference, but we are appealing very much to the spirits industry, and the bottle you were holding there demonstrates that time and time again. I was talking to them; they just told me that their sales are going to be 10 times up on sales from where they were last year, and that's just Frugal Bottle. It's a fantastic vodka. Don't get me wrong, but it's appealing to a different audience, and therefore they're growing nicely through the US market. So lots to play for.
Yes, it sounds very exciting. I had their CEO on the Half Shell Vodka team.
All right,
I
Harrison.
had them on
Yeah.
the podcast a few years ago, or about a year ago, and he said that they changed the artwork because people weren't sure why there was a shell on it, and they didn't know what it was at first. Most people can read, and it says vodka on it, so they understand that. But he said he showed me the new artwork, and it looked really, really nice. So although I like what they did the first time too, but I love this idea. What an innovative topic and interesting thing that you've created here. So what's next for Frugalpac? Just continued growth, exciting adventures, anything that you can tell us about that's other than the new machine?
5 countries now. We're 71 SKUs and continuing to grow with the wine products and the spirits products. It's sort of unbeknown to us, but a market that we're embracing is olive oil is really beginning to grow. And we're just about to see quite a big launch in Germany with a Frugal Bottle for edible oils. Tends to be olive oils more than anything else. So we've got a Greek producer, Italian producer now, and then Germany. And then we're talking to other parts of the world. So that's a sort of extension of the standard bottle, if you like. We've got the capability to do shapes. So we're talking to some very big iconic brands, if you like, in wines and spirits that are very interested in taking a paper variant of their icons. That's challenging, but both parties are embracing it well. And I think we're going to come out with a successful product there. Then from sizes to from shapes, we're working on sizes and the machine platforms, as I've mentioned. So in every day, in sort of every way, we're trying to make the Frugal Bottle better and really get it into the heart of the wine and spirits industry usage. But we're not stopping there. So we have another product, which is a paint pot, which we have developed. The issue with paint pots around the world is disposal. And you tend to be disposing of a large piece of packaging that is rarely recycled because it's contaminated with paint. So most of them get incinerated, not all, but most. So the Frugal Pot, as it will be known, has basically the principles are the same. It's a recycled paper outer shell, and then within that we have a plastic liner. And when you finish your painting, you pull the liner out, and if you can imagine now, you've got a lot less material, so you can put that in your garbage bag. I always use the example, you could probably put 50 of these liners into a garbage bag. You couldn't put 50 paint pots in there. And then you have to go off and dispose of that correctly, but you've got it more consolidated. And then your paper waste, which is uncontaminated, goes off into your paper recycling, and you're saving a little bit more of the planet through your painting. And also it works very well for commercial painters because they have the same problem in terms of disposal, and therefore there's a cost saving there as well for them, hopefully pass through to the consumer in their options. And then beyond that, we're looking at toothpaste tubes and areas where we're trying to find issues. Toothpaste tubes are not overly recycled. Who knew? But we learn something every day, and we look at other options. But that's sort of a little bit down the way. There's as I mentioned, my 33 billion total addressable market for wines and spirits bottles. That should keep us going for a while.
Looks like you've got your work cut out for you, sir. Well done. This is very, very exciting. I'm excited for you and your team. How do people get in touch with you if they're interested in?
Thank you. So we're available 24 hours a day, I like to think. You can test that out. So we're on frugalpac.com is our website. And there's a hello at Frugalpac where you're able to contact the great commercial team we have, Paula and Stephen. We're also LinkedIn, so any of the Frugalpac on LinkedIn, or I'm on there personally if anybody would like to drop me a line. But in any event, you'll get us through the website, and we're at your disposal to talk about Frugal bottles, pots, and anything else you may be interested in.
Well, thank you again, sir. This has been really insightful, and I can't wait to post this episode. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Is that all?